Question 1. What makes a person a monster and how does that definition relate to Grendel? A person becomes a monster when they cease to have empathy and regret for their wrongdoings. The definition relates to Grendel because at the beginning of the book, Grendel does not see himself as a monster, but after his encounter with the dragon, he realizes he does not have to keep searching for validation from the Anglo-Saxons. This mindset causes Grendel to spiral into the idea of revenge. This is shown on page 8 when the author states, "A baby bird falls feet up in my path, squeaking. With a crabby laugh, I let him lie." And on page 76, when it says, "I killed stragglers now and then with a certain grim pleasure, very different from that which I'd gotten cracking a cow's skull."
Question 2. How does Grendel's loneliness affect his self-image? His whole life, Grendel felt as though he was alone in the world because there was no one he could relate or talk to. He spent every waking moment trying to discover who he was. With no one to guide him through his trials, he had to become self-reliant, which in turn caused Grendel to be disconnected and egotistic. We see this on page 76. "Now invulnerable, I was solitary, as one live tree in a vast landscape of coal." And page 36, "I was safe in my tree, and the men who fought were nothing to me."
Question 3. At the beginning of the book, is Grendel a symbol of heroism? Why or why not? At the beginning of the book, Grendel is a symbol of heroism. He recognizes what is right and wrong. He is not violent and only eats things and people out of hunger instead of just plain cruelty. His non-violent nature is displayed when Grendel shows remorse for a man that's been killed by Hrothgar in the woods. He is even disquieted when he sees the betrayal and violence that encompasses the Anglo-Saxons' partake culture. For these reasons, he is a symbol of heroism, not because of what he does do, but because of what he does not do. And this is shown in page 37 when the author states, "The two groups would fight as allies after that, except for now and then they betrayed each other, one shooting the other from behind for some reason, or stealing the other's group's gold." And on page 51 when it says, "It was a man. They'd cut his throat, his clothes had been stolen. I stared up at the hall, baffled. I lifted up the body and slung it across my shoulders."
Question 4. What does Grendel's mother's lack of language represent? Grendel's mother does not communicate through speaking. Instead, she relies on her actions, introducing the idea that actions speak louder than words. In many circumstances, like when she feels threatened, we see her animalistic nature surface. Grendel's mother's absence of speaking dehumanizes her, which accounts for the way she treats Grendel as a possession more than she treats him as family. We see this in page 28. "She only stared, troubled at my noise. She'd forgotten all language long ago, or maybe had never known any."
Question 5. Why does the dragon push Grendel over the edge? The dragon wants to be superior to everyone. When he realizes that Grendel is going against who the dragon thinks and wants him to be, he has to find a way to influence Grendel into being the monster he wants Grendel to be. He uses cunning semantics to twist around Grendel's mind in order to cloud Grendel's judgment that it's okay not to be a monster. This is shown in page 72 when it says, "It must be very frustrating to be caged like a Chinaman's cricket in a limited mind." And on page 69 when the author says, "An angry man does not usually shake his fist at the universe in general. He makes a selection and knocks the neighbors down."
Question 6. How does the cruelty of the Anglo-Saxons affect Grendel's actions towards the end of the book? The Anglo-Saxons were hostile towards Grendel. When he would go and try to make peace with them, they would rally together and try to kill him. This leads Grendel to seek revenge and try to kill those same men. We see this in page 52. "I sank to my knees, crying, 'Friend, friend.' They hacked at me, yipping like dogs." In page 27, "Pig," I tried to yell. It scared them. They all began shouting at each other. One of the horses neighed and reared up, and for some crazy reason they took it for a sign. The king snatched an axe from the man beside, and without any warning, he hurled it at me.
Question 7. How does the forest reflect Grendel's mind? The forest is filled with lots of dead trees and is very dark and gloomy. This is a reflection of Grendel's mind because it demonstrates how much of conflict Grendel has in his search for a purpose. He was influenced by the dragon and is now a harbinger of evil. The dark forest is filled with shadows, snakes, and black figures, alluding to the darkness that encompasses his mind. This is shown in page 54 when the author states, "If anything in myself could be as cold, as dark, as centuries old as the presence I felt around me, I touched the vine to reassure myself it was a snake." And on page 50, when the author states, "I whispered, jerking forward, struggling to make my eyes sear through the dark trunks and vines."
Question 8. Why does the dragon refer to himself as we? The dragon refers to himself as we because while he is his own being, he also represents the darkest side of Grendel's mind, which is why in the forest Grendel can always feel the darkness of the dragon pulling him in. The dragon also refers to himself as we because he embodies the whole idea or mindset of a nihilist society. We see this in page 63. We see from the mountaintop, all time, all space. We see in one instant the passionate vision in the blowout. Not that we cause things to fail, you understand. In page 75, whatever I may have understood or misunderstood in the dragon's talk, something much deeper stayed with me, became my aura.